Hello again. Let me begin by asking a very simple question today. How many times do you eat in a day? The answer to this for most people will be around 3 to 4 times, unless you are very health conscious or you are on a high protein diet and are trying to bulk up. But what if I tell you that you can eat only once in 4 days, or maybe even don't get to eat for an entire week? I bet you would laugh it off or call me a fool. But this is exactly what happened in Bengal, the then British India, during the summer of 1943. Nobody can perhaps even imagine that Bengal, which was rich, fertile and had India's first megacity, could have possibly undergone such harsh conditions that about 3 million people died within months. But why? Why would death at such large scale take place? It happened because there was no food for a population of 60 million. Now, you must be wondering, how would have such situation come about? What were the immediate reasons for that? The biggest controversy around it is that it was a man-made famine. Was it? Let's find out the answer today. Bengal province in British India comprised modern-day parts of West Bengal, Bangladesh and Odisha. Although being part of the Gangetic Plain, the region has always been prone to cyclones that destroyed crops at several instances, creating havoc among the inhabitants. However, the famine of 1943 was one of the worst in human history and was a direct or indirect result of the policies of the British government and World War II. The deaths were predominantly caused due to starvation and diseases like malaria and cholera, poor sanitation and poor healthcare facilities. Historians often tag the famine as man-made, arguing that it was created and intensified by wartime colonial policies. Bengal was an agriculture-based economy and accounted for about 1/3 of India's total rice production even back then. Yet, the rapid increase in population, ineffective stock allocation, sharp political conditions and very high land taxes by the government sent the state into a semi-starved condition. If we look at the demographic data, the population of Bengal had increased from 42 million in 1920 to 60 million in 1942, a 42% change in just 2 decades. That is a huge increase in demographic statistics. But the amount of arable land remained unchanged, leading to a sharp decrease in per capita rice availability. Furthermore, the Great Depression, that is the economic catastrophe that had rocked the world from 1929 to 39, had caused many formal moneylender institutions to be shut down, paving the path for informal and greedy lenders who used manipulative ways to grab lands of small to medium farmers, leaving many of them landless. Those landless farmers then needed to go to big cities such as Calcutta to work as daily laborers in order to survive. All these reasons were slowly adding to the recipe of a catastrophic disaster that would create havoc among millions and that would cost about 3 million lives. One more reason that is less debated was the introduction of the railway network in the late 19th and 20th centuries. The construction of a network of railway embankments disturbed the natural drainage of Bengal, resulting in the formation of poorly drained compartments in various parts of Bengal. This led to excessive silting, damaged the fertility of soil, causing lesser crop production, increased the chance of flooding and created stagnant water pockets that were apt for waterborne diseases such as cholera and malaria. The problems increased when World War II started. The British government started seizing land for military installations and fencing, causing further complications as there was already an inadequate amount of land to feed 60 million people. Paddy farming in Bengal was done in 3 different seasons. Out of them, the Kharif season, in which the paddy was sown in June to July and harvested in November to December, accounted for about 3/4, that is 75% of total rice production. However, 1942 saw a sharp decrease in rice production, causing shortages and exponential inflation in prices. The last nail in the coffin was a cyclone that hit Bengal on 9th of January 1943, flooding the rice fields with salt water and killing 14,500 people. It also caused an outbreak of the Helminthosporium fungus, which took a heavy toll on the summer harvest. Any famine in history has been caused due to 3 important factors: natural factor, a socio-economic one, and the last is bad leadership. After the cyclone of 1943, Bengal would usually import rice from nearby Burma, which was also a British colony. But the Empire of Japan had occupied Burma the same year and the imports were completely lost. Moreover, the British exported about 70,000 tons of rice in the first 7 months from India to European countries, nullifying the chances of import from other provinces of India. What made it worse was the denial policy applied by the British. Fearing the chances of invasion by the Japanese, they destroyed the boats and rice stocks in the coastal areas, leaving the poor with literally no food to eat. It is exactly this very point for which the historians have blamed this famine as being man-made. Though the natural factors were intense and would have definitely caused sizable number of deaths, it was actually the policies applied by the British that increased deaths exponentially. By the summer of 1943, almost all of rice stocks were depleted from the market. The rich had already hoarded large amounts of rice, leaving the poor to die of starvation. People started to die so fast that within weeks, bodies were all around the streets with no facilities even for cremation. This created a safe haven for diseases such as cholera and malaria to flourish. When the news of the deaths of Bengalis made headlines in the international media, US and Canada offered to help with food. However, the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill rejected the offer, blaming the Indians for this situation. Not just this, when he was briefed about the situation by his officials, he showed no humanity and turned down all requests, asking why Mohandas Gandhi was not in the names of dead. Apart from this, the wheat exports from Australia used to pass from the Indian Ocean, but the British never cared to transfer any shipment for dying Bengalis. The landless labourers in the Ganges Delta were affected the most by this famine. Death by starvation was first reported in districts Tipara, Bakarganj, Mymensingh, Rangpur, Chittagaon and Noakhali in May 1943. First, the lack of food caused havoc, and then poor sanitation brought malaria and cholera. Waterlogging in railway embankments provided a good place for malaria mosquitoes to flourish very easily. It is estimated that more deaths were caused by diseases than by starvation. The winter of 1943 brought hope when the Bengalis saw a bumper production of rice. By early 1944, things seemed to normalize with the reintroduction of rice in the markets, bringing the prices to normal. The Bengal famine is a lesson for all humanity that how millions of deaths can be caused when governments treat humans merely as assets and prohibit access to basic things such as food. It also teaches us how a disaster can be reduced or nullified if and only if the colonizers could treat the people as humans. The British government till date has not even accepted it as their mistake or as a famine brought about due to the direct actions of their policies, and is yet to apologize for what they did. This was all about the Bengal famine of 1943 that had devastated Bengal and had led to the deaths of millions of people. We hope you would like this new video. Thank you so much for watching.